Hello and welcome to the Grove Podcast, the end of season finale. My name is Moz, I'm your host, and today I'm joined by three very esteemed colleagues of mine. In the middle we have Tabs. How are you today?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Better than Tuesday when we first attempted to do this. So yeah, really looking forward to this. So strap in, listeners.
Strap in indeed. And speaking of strap-ons, we've also got Whale.
No diddy. Good day, fine sirs. Good day. How are we all?
Doing good.
It's really got an end of school vibe, hasn't it?
Yeah,
it does.
And Whale's got his sunglasses on as well, which is just he does what he wants.
A traditional pint glass as well, old school. Look at this.
Yeah, man.
Look. If only we had videos.
And if only we had videos to see the handsome young chap to the right-hand side is Kaziva. How are you today?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. What's going on, guys? What is up?
What is up? Well, what is up is not Arsenal, actually, because we finished second in the league. So we stayed second, but we'll get on to that, I'm sure. This episode today is not going to be a kind of review of the Everton game. But we might touch upon that a little bit. But it's more so an end of season awards ceremony. Whale, you have been nominated for many categories, I'm sure, in the past for various awards. Unfortunately, you're not in the running for anything today. These are all.
There is a favourite Grove moment, so he could be in there.
He could pop up. Who knows?
Yeah. Okay.
Man, we'll see. I won't hold out for anything.
No, go like this. I'm not going to put any spoilers in there, but it's definitely not going to come from me. So there we go.
Let's just touch upon Sunday then last week and talk about the day itself and what our kind of highlight was. We're not going to do a low light of Sunday because I think it'll be the same that Phil Foden's a prick. He ruined the fun after 2 minutes. And yeah, Man City ended up winning the league. But in terms of highlights, for me, it was just the amount of Grovers we had under one roof. That was just absurd, really. I mean, we overtook a large section of that pub on Sunday and made it our own, and no one even dared to come close. Cern was guarding it very, very nicely. There was drinks on the table, and I remember him looking back at me saying, just nudging me, he's like, Moz, just watch those people behind in case they take one of our drinks, and he guarding them with his life. It was really funny to see. So that was mine. Whale, I'll start with you. What was your highlight of Sunday?
It's the weather, the Grove, all the beers on the table, just that sort of vibe. Pretty much everything pre-match for me was the highlight. The game was
up until 2 minutes.
What's that?
Up until 2 minutes was it?
Yeah, exactly. So that was just good, man. I just really enjoyed the day, sort of pre-match, and then what happened.
What happened, yeah. No point in dwelling on that at all, is there? Tabs, your highlight of Sunday.
I just wanted, before getting a highlight, I wanted to sort of come back to what we normally talk about as well, is about how we feel about the day and stuff like that.
I was going to come on to that afterwards. Just, yeah. Okay. I want the listeners to feel a sense of, it's not all doom and gloom.
No. But, hey, you know me, it's not going to be doom and gloom. So okay, I'll come to that later. To really highlight today, I had quite a few. Like I had in the morning, I had my son watching my son score the winner for his team to win the league. We looked at a nice start to the day. They got a chance to go invincible this Friday, so fingers crossed. Something Jens Lehmann can't pay the rights for. I think, as well alluded to, meeting the Grove before the game, that was great. And then I ended off my day with a beautiful line bike ride through central London to go and catch the train. I thought it was a really nice way just to decompress after the day. But I think the main thing was the atmosphere in Concourse Block 25 pre-game. It was just immense, incredible, just buzzing. The hair standing on your on the back of your neck. That was good. So it was loads of highlights from the day up until the second minute. But even then, at the end of the game, it was really nice. But yeah, that the atmosphere before the game was just like second to none. Really, really good.
Kazima?
My highlights was I didn't go through the motions you guys went through because I was traveling back to London. So I didn't experience that 2-minute goal by Foden. I didn't experience the murmurs in the stadium where you guys heard that they'd scored a second goal. I just got into London and I was like, oh, City won. Right. So that was my highlight, really. It seemed like it was a really good day. The sun was out. And yeah, I really missed out on the Grove meeting. So I'm glad you guys had a good day.
To be honest with you, the City 2-2 thing didn't really affect where I was sitting in the stadium. I didn't really hear anyone cheering or anything. And when someone mentioned it in a few rows behind, and I just said, I'll look to my phone, and it was still 2-1. So I didn't really think anything of it. So that was really interesting. That I think it was the game was on TNT Sports, wasn't it? And I think they made a massive tweet about it, and they made a big deal about the fact that, oh, look at these Arsenal fans celebrating the 2-2, but for me, it wasn't really a consideration.
No, I think it was more the fact that we had all, even though we really knew, I think before the game, just the atmosphere, we started to get a little bit of hope, potentially.
Yeah.
So we ignored the downside. Yeah. I mean, it's the 2 minutes thing. And we all joked, it's going to be 3-0 to Man City come 20 minutes, half hour. And it was 2-0 after 10 minutes. So I think it was just like, everyone was buoyant, and there was the fireworks and just the atmosphere. And then like suddenly, so like someone popped a balloon at 2 minutes, and it led to a bit of an odd atmosphere, I must admit, throughout the game. But then it picked up towards the end.
Yeah, and then I think after it went 2-0, the Arsenal fans realised we're probably not going to win the league now. And the atmosphere was great from start to finish of that game. The atmosphere in the Emirates was, and we'll touch upon this a little bit later, but it was probably one of the best I've seen it all season. So in terms of that, we've done our highlight. Let's talk about now how we're feeling about Sunday, and also just in general the end of the season. And now we've had almost a week to reflect. So I'll go first again. I feel proud, and to be honest with you, I guess if you've heard the podcast before, I've been like, if we don't win anything this year, I won't be happy and things. But I've had time to reflect and to think about it, and I think now that it's happened, and now that we've actually taken City to the last game of the season, I feel quite proud and quite happy that we've done that. I would have been really disappointed if we had lost the last or drawn and lost the last 4 games and just handed City it. But we made them work for it right until the very end, and they still had to go out and get a result against not only Spurs, which is for them a tricky place to go to, but also against West Ham, who didn't do really badly, but 2 goals in the first 10 minutes. I think they were trying to just get those goals and seal it. So yeah, that's how I feel about kind of Sunday, and the end of the season, I guess. Yeah, just like I say, proud sense of pride for the team and where we've come, and also just really proud about how hungry the players are to go again next year. Every single one of the players have now kind of tweeted or put on Instagram or Twitter about how they feel, and everyone just said, like, the majority of them are saying next year this is going to be different. Next year, we're going to be the same. We're going to be even better. So, and even Arteta said it after the game. Edu, I think, mentioned it as well, didn't he? As in one of the interviews, he said, all the players want to stay, and that's a really, really good sign. So we're here for years to come, and with all the news going on about managerial changes, Pochettino's been sacked and Ten Hag's jobs on the line, and there's so many managerial changes happening. Moyes obviously has left, and they've West Ham have someone new in today. It just makes me so proud to have not only a strong core of players, but also a strong manager who's going to stick around. So that's what I think. Tabs?
Yeah, I feel a lot of things, to be honest. To be honest, I sort of come Monday, Tuesday, I've come to reflect on it. I felt shattered, and I was actually quite relieved the season was over, because I mean the last few months have been brilliant to watch, the football we've played, what we've done, but it's also been quite emotional and exhausting, and as you said, we took it right to the end, so that just continued right to the last minute, right up until we said it, the second minute of the game. Whereas normally in previous seasons, it's been over a few games beforehand, so you have time to get in, time to for it to for it to settle in, and then the last game is normally a celebration with smashing someone 5-0 and all the rest of it, and we didn't have that this time around, and because of the intensity of around each fixture since February, plus the futility of supporting other teams trying to beat Man City, which got us nowhere. It just takes it out of you, and I was sort of feeling a bit emotional. Actually, on Sunday, like the amount of times I was welling up, which is nuts, and I could barely get a chant out at times. I mean, it must be my Italian genes. I was being a bit of a soppy date. And then actually after the game...
Sorry, Tam, could that also have been the fact that the night before we went out for dinner and there was pineapple on pizza?
Oh my God, do not get me started. That's my low light. There you go. That's my low light of the weekend, going to an Italian restaurant with pineapple on the pizza. Ridiculous. Don't get me started. I'll do another pod on that another day. But actually after the game, I felt quite flat, and it hit me a lot more than I expected. I was quite surprised. And even though we really had no chance, I think we said the hopium before the game, suddenly the drinks and the pub and the crowd and the positivity, you started to believe. And so I'm also got a sense of bitterness about Man City and their Lance Armstrong impression, and I can't deny that's there, but I'm not going to let it get in the way of how happy I feel about this team. And I think what is interesting, you said that you talked about pride, and I was thinking about that, and it's sort of odd that we feel pride about this billion-dollar sporting institution, loving multimillionaire 20-somethings kicking a ball about, but we seem to invest so much time and effort and energy into this that we do feel really connected, and we feel a lot of joy. And I was trying to explain this sense of pride to my wife, and saying out loudly, it sort of didn't make sense, but it makes complete sense at the same time. It's and I really like that, and I really glad that we're part of this something, and that we support a team like Arsenal with the players and stuff like that. So, but for now, I'm looking forward to the summer, having a bit of time off. I might need to spend some time with the wife and kids, with all the time and money I spent on Arsenal, and recharge, and like the players, go again and get ready for next season.
Yeah, very well put. Very, very well put. I guess, I kind of realised when you came and you met us outside the Horatio at the end of the game, you didn't look like your usual self. And I think for you, it was also the emotion of the morning with Gianluca's football and everything as well, that I think that had just taken a massive toll on you. And you looked like you were about to cry. And
it wasn't the first time, don't worry.
and you just kind of left. We shook hands and parted ways. It was almost like the end of a movie, and it's like,
there we go.
I'll see you next season, and then it's like, not if I see you for whatever it is that they say.
I got something in my eye.
Yeah. Will, what about you? What do you make of that kind of at the end of the season and Sunday?
It was tough. It was, I guess, reflecting on it, the season as a whole, while I was in the midst of it, was good. There's peaks and troughs. We were in it to the end. So you had a stake in it throughout the entirety from August, obviously going all the way through to May. But I mean, I hear progress, I hear this, I hear that. I see the same thing as last year. I see second place, I see no trophies. So when it comes to that, I'm not happy about that. People will say, oh, but we've got our record for wins. That doesn't get you anything. I did like when Arteta said, we won't be satisfied for this. Like, that guy's a serial competitor. I know he's not satisfied with it. I just don't like how out there in the ether and the fan base and Twitter and X and this and that, but we took 4. It doesn't matter how many points we took from them because they won the fucking league. It literally doesn't matter. And all the excuses and this and that. Listen, the better team won. I don't care about the 115 Chargers. Don't care about any of that. They beat us on the pitch. And we have to come back and go again next year. Now, it's tolerable, barely, for me. But if the exact same thing happens next year, then it's intolerable. And then changes have to be made.
I hate to say it, but I agree with you, Will. I don't hate to agree with you. I just
that's what it sounds like.
I must clarify that. In fact, I wonder if this will work. If you guys can hear this, but I hate to admit that, if this happens again next year, if we go another season trophyless, then not only myself and other fans as well will start to think, right, at what point do we give Arteta more time? At what point do we need to seriously then think about where do we go from here? If we end up finishing second or third behind even like a Liverpool team with a brand new manager and a Chelsea team with a brand new manager, or Man U with Ten Hag or whatever, that's unforgivable. But let's not think about that, because Kaziva, the voice of reason, will alleviate those concerns. But what did you make of? Obviously, you were flying, so you didn't really, as you say, you just kind of looked to the result. But I'm assuming you watched the game and kind of had a sense of, from the Grove and other chats, that what had unfolded on Sunday. So what was your thoughts?
Yeah, so for Sunday, I'm just glad we won. I'm glad we managed to squeeze out a win, even though it seemed like it was a bit of a struggle when I watched the game. And of course, I'm going to watch the game, even if I'm flying. I'm on a podcast called The Grove, and I need to make sure I'm ready with my notes. But that was a good way to end the season. And I think for the season, a season review, what I was happy about was mostly the second half of the season. Yes, James, I understand that there isn't a trophy, but I'm very used to Arsenal struggling between March and April. That's happened the last, 20 years, right? So it's November and then March and April. And this time we managed to get through. Yes, we got knocked out by Bayern Munich in the Champions League, but besides the Villa game, we really pushed it. And it's nice to see that change in mentality and to see that growth. And I do get where you guys are coming from around, there needs to be a trophy. Like everyone wants to win. We haven't won a Premier League in 20 years. I don't mind waiting. Like, it's been 20 years, guys. So I'm hopeful that with the lessons they learned this season and the maturity that we're going to see next season, and potentially, one or two new signings, we're going to have a better season. I am very hopeful that that's going to be the case. But yeah, all in all, I'm happy with the season. I'm happy with how it ended.
Let me just jump in there real quick, Maz. So the second half of the season, and then, like you say, doing better, winning games, picking up more points. However, I'd be remiss if I just didn't say that the most important game of the year at the time, we went back to what we used to do. Like, that Villa game was absolutely huge. Like, we were at a point where every game's the biggest game of the year. We've said that on podcasts before. And like, we didn't show up. We got outperformed by an old manager, which sort of hurt. And yeah, all the points matter the same.
Yeah.
But there's a different amount of pressure on, let's say, the last game of the year than there is the first game of the year. So although 3 points is 3 points, when it comes down to the pressure and how people perform, it's night and day, first game to last game. Or when the season's on the line versus, we've got the rest of the year to play for. So it's we did slightly better, but we came up short when we needed to. Not much short.
Just on that Villa game though, and just to put some context, it was in between the two Bayern games, and I don't think we appreciated how much the Champions League would take it out of us compared to not playing in it. And I think just having that there, just having to in between, and I think that really had a big part to play in it. And we had to play Villa, who turned up. It wasn't like City, who played, I think, Luton in between their two Champions League games. So I think there has to be some mitigation there. And then, as I think we've said in the chat, football is stupid. If Trossard mishits his shot, he scores. So it's just one mishit. Yeah,
but he didn't.
I know he didn't, but the whole season is full of didn'ts and stuff, and you can look at that both for us and against us. It's just there are mitigating stances there. So yes, it's frustrating that game, but then there are other games where we won it when we late, like Luton, but then we lost it when we shouldn't have done, like West Ham or Fulham. And a season's going to have those ups and downs. And at the time you look at it, yes, that last game. But if you were to say, all right, in the last 17 games, you're going to win 15, draw 1, lose 1. I don't know how many people would take that. Yeah, contact music and make a difference. Yeah. But otherwise, Otherwise, you
only lose cost.
otherwise you
I'm not
you
making
have to win every single game. Otherwise, basically, you say next season, unless we're invincible, we don't win the league, and if we're not invincible, I'm not happy.
Yeah.
That's not at all what's being said, and that you're overextending to try to be positive about something. Oh, it's a 15-1-1. I won't take 15-1-1 if the one loss costs us the league.
But then
I think the losses that cost us the league were the losses in December. Those, I think, they were a bigger problem than the Villa game. But we could speak about this all day, I think. One thing just to add, I think Emery just really hates us. It started with the Europa League final. We got beaten 4-1 by Chelsea, then twice a season. I think he just hates us, and we need to sort that out, man. We need to sort that out.
For me, like I agree with kind of all of your points, but for me, it's the losses that we had around December, January time were as a result of Arteta changing the team and playing Jesus, and the cracks were kind of beginning to show for me when we beat Luton 4-3 away from home, and he played Jesus up top, and Havertz, just kind of dropped Havertz again, and it didn't work. We ended up losing to Villa, and then we drew to PSV away, and then we beat Brighton, then we drew to Liverpool, and it was just like, if it's not broke, why change it? And I think that was, but
then don't we talk about rotation, keeping the squad fresh?
Yeah, but you need to rotate. You don't need to rotate for 6 games in the bounce, and with 4 of them becoming losses. I don't think that's a rotation issue. I think that was just tactically. I think that's where I think Arteta made a mistake. For me, Wales says obviously it's the loss to Aston Villa that was crunch game. But for me, the disappointment, the only game that's disappointing for me was the 0-0 draw at the Etihad, and everyone was celebrating that. Like, we got a point away from.
No, I wasn't celebrating that.
No, you weren't. And I won't dwell on this topic too long, but drawing 0-0 to City away when we beat them earlier on in the season and we were on good form, and we'd smash teams left, right and centre. We'd just beaten Newcastle 4-1 and Sheffield United, and we'd beaten Brentford last minute goal. We'd got through the Champions League by knocking out Porto on penalties. I really think if we went for that and we ended up losing the game, I would have maybe been happier just knowing that we went for it. And then, who knows, we might have beaten Villa if we lost to City or whatever. But
remember, the draw still meant it was in our hands.
Yeah. Well,
So we go for it and lose, then it's definitely not in our hands. But where the draw kept it in our hands, and it meant City were the ones who had to go for the win. Right, granted, the end result, blah, 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 blah. But at that time, they were the ones that needed the win, not us. A draw still kept it in our hands, just the Villa game. But no, as I said, this is going to be a celebration of the season. Yes, we know we didn't win. There's loads of mitigating circumstances. We'd all love it to be better. We go again next year, and who knows?
We go again.
It's going to be so hard to top this season, though. Let's just talk through some stats very quickly in comparison to the year before. So we've got 5 more points than where we were this time last year. We scored 3 more goals. We conceded 14 less goals. We drew with City on goal difference, so there's a little trophy for you guys there. 62 goals our goal difference ended up with. And look, we drew less games in City as well, which was impressive. I'm just looking at my window and my doorbell's about to go. It's a guy, I have no idea who it is, but I will continue with the pod. But what I would say as well, guys, is I touched on it briefly before. The atmosphere before the game was, and during, and also after was incredible. It was unbelievable. It was especially at full time when Arteta and Odegaard were speaking to the crowd. I've never felt anything like it. The players had a kind of lap of honour around the Emirates, and North London Forever rang out, and it was the loudest I'd heard it. It was crazy. And it just shows you that the fans are proud of the team, but there was also around me a sense of, the kind of players just, I don't know, players were disappointed. Saka was crying, Havertz was in tears. It was a shame to see, but I think the players were also, how do I put this, drained emotionally.
Yeah, I mean,
just from the season that had ensued.
It must be so hard to go again and then again and again and again, and they must have believed it. In order to play the way they did, they must have believed they were in with a chance. Yeah, I've never seen someone celebrate a goal like they're going to cry. if you see Havertz's face, he's like, I'm sure he was going to burst into tears. I think Odegaard was on the ground for a few minutes. I don't know. It was odd, and it must have meant so much to them. So again, it's in there. There's no guarantees next year whether we're better, whether we get the same injuries, whatever. But I don't think you can fault their attitude, and I don't think we'll be able to fault their attitude next year. We just need to, again, as they said, go again. Don't be satisfied. Ride the luck and hope. And I think it's just one tiny bit of luck difference between the two teams, and they just had it and we didn't.
The other thing I would say as well is, we could be sitting here this time next year thinking, oh my God, we've signed X, Y, and Z this summer. Do you remember the end of season podcast when we weren't satisfied with finishing second, and now we've won the league, and these 3 or however many signings we make, these signings have made a difference. And you look at the players who we're linked with, and it's just a sign of how far we've come. Yeah. I remember we signed Kim Kallstrom and broken back for a bit.
He scored a very important penalty. I'm not going to knock out Kim.
Yeah, absolutely.
But from where we've come and where we are now, we can be proud of that. But we can't settle for being that team that finished second to City. We cannot do that. We need to take advantage of the squad we have. I've said this before and I'll say it again. If we don't win anything next season, my fear is we will lose someone that we love. And Fraser always says this to me as well. He says, look, if players will leave eventually and we're going to lose someone like Saliba, who'll go to Real Madrid, or, I don't know, Saka might end up at Man City or whatever. You never know. Something like that could happen. And that's the worry for me. So that's why we need to win something. And it's not by something I mean a Premier League or a Champions League. I would not be satisfied with just an FA Cup or a League Cup.
Wow.
To flip that, Maz, sorry, I'm a bit positive. If we do sell Saliba, we're going to make at least 150, right? So there's always a silver lining to these things. There's not like building up again.
We're playing.
There's not a chance on this earth that Arsenal, the worst selling club in football history, William Saliba for 150 million. Take off 100 million off that and you might come close. But I don't see that happening. I don't see Saliba even leaving. He loves the club. But
I'm contracted for a long time.
That's true.
Years. Let's see where we go. Let's see what happens.
I don't really want to talk about the Everton game. It's done in the past. They scored and we scored twice. We won the game. Let's move to part 2 of the pod. This is the favourite part, the end of season awards. So we have 8 different categories here. I'm going to read them out and then I'll just go one by one and we'll switch up a little bit and everyone can give their answers. And for the listeners, don't worry, everyone has different answers for each of these 8 categories.
Probably, maybe.
We'll see.
Probably, maybe, yeah. And if you don't, there's a forfeit for one of you guys for the first episode of the new season or whatever. We'll make something up. So category number 1 is your favourite player of the season. So, Kaziva, I'll let you go first. Who was your player of the season?
Thank you so much. I didn't want anyone to pick Odegaard. He was my number 1 player of the season. Super captain, probably one of the best captains we've had since Vieira, if not Tony Adams. He's also won the most possession in the final third. He's just everything. And he has flair. I love flair. One of my favorite footballers is Ronaldinho, and I miss that from the game. And seeing someone like Odegaard stance the way he stands is just a joy to watch. So he was my number 1 this season.
Perfect. Good answer. I can see Tabs sweating now. So you pick another one then, Tabs. Who was your this season?
I want Wale to guess my pick.
Probably fucking Arteta.
No, it's going to be no surprise to Wale when I say, and this is why I say favourite player. So I think the awards run the same player of the season. My favourite player of the season, Kai Havertz. From the very beginning, even from what he did in the Charity Shield, but what he offers off the ball, he can play in a couple of positions, and the way he's grown and evolved and turned into a goal machine and assists, I think he's been just great. And the fact that it wasn't going for him at the beginning, but the team got around him, the fans got around him, and so for me, he's been a favorite. I just love everything he offers for the team, and this was how ridiculous the fan base can be sometimes, that they were criticizing him when on the tour of the United States for his poor performance in the skills test in some poxy.
It was pretty bad though.
Huh?
It was pretty bad.
Oh, for God's sake.
It was for professional. It was pretty bad. I probably could have done that.
Can I just say,
He could not give two shits about his body. Anyway,
You guys are competitors.
I'm not going there.
Take care.
There's nonsense. But anyway, yeah, he's turned into my favorite. I mean, there's so many to choose from. Whatever, my heart is with Odegaard, but I love watching Kai Havertz play.
okay, Whale, your player of the season, please.
I'll go Trossard.
Okay, you stuck with that one then. You stuck with that.
Yeah, well, I was going to go with another one.
Don't say it.
I'm not going to say it, but I'll stick with Tross, man. I'll stick with the raccoon because, I mean, he came in. He was a bench player. He took Martinelli's spot, and then he just kept on. He kept on producing. And that's all you can ask of a player. Like, he got the shot, and he wouldn't give it back. There's a reason that Martinelli didn't get back in that starting lineup. It's because Trossard had a stranglehold on it, and bar a few mishaps here and there, he came up big for us. I think he's our most, whatever you want to call it, clinical, best in front of goal. He's got short, whatever they call it, backlift or whatever. It doesn't take much for him to get a shot off, and he's not afraid to shoot it. The crowd doesn't have to go shoot because he's already ready. So yeah, and he's a little guy, and it's the everyman sport. So it's great that some 5'2" guy can go out there and actually compete and and do it.
God, the 5'2" raccoon. Leo, if you're listening to this podcast, I can only apologise for what Whale said about you, but fair play. I'll go last because I have two players, which is why I waited, and you guys haven't mentioned either of these. So player number one is Declan Rice. I think coming into the squad, the price tag that we paid for him, the pressure that would have been on his shoulders, but for him to perform from day one all the way through until the game against Everton, he was outstanding. Some of the recovery tackles he made, I remember the tackles he made against Man City, especially one on Rodri that I really liked. And yeah, Declan Rice, just what a performer. And also 8 assists and 7 goals and 8 assists for the season. For his first season at Arsenal, that's not bad stats from midfield. And he's hungry for more. So that's player number one. But my main player of the season, the player that I believe should be everyone's, is William Saliba. Played every single minute in the Premier League for us, and was just a rock. And it showed us how badly we missed him the season before, towards the end when we had Rob Holding in defence instead. William Saliba, just outstanding. Any attacker that he's come up against, no one has got the better of him. There was a couple of times where you could see potentially Darwin Núñez and him having like a foot race in a game against Liverpool. But do you remember that one on the halfway line against Haaland where he just kind of shouldered him out the way and came back? He's like, what? It was a shoulder-to-shoulder tackle. And some of the clearances and tackles that he made through the course of the season was just outstanding. And for the age that he is as well, and for the composure he's got, 23 years old, he had to wait his time to come and play at Arsenal. He's outstanding. I honestly think he is top 3, if not top 2, of the best centre-back in the world. I think the only player I can think of the top of my head is Rudiger for Real Madrid. And I think...
What about the French centre-backs?
I'm really pleased that Deschamps is an idiot, because the more he stays on the bench, the fitter he'll be for us next. And even Gallas was criticising. On the French team, it's just that he's very risk averse, Deschamps. So to your point that you're maybe going to rail, he's risk averse, and he doesn't like the fact that he's so comfortable on the ball that in any part of the pitch he's happy. He will back himself to get out any situation, and he will trust to be. The amount of times he gets the ball with his back the wrong way and he turns into it, yeah. So it's the right choice. So,
what were your third and fourth, Moss?
Well, I've got 11 players of this.
I thought we were doing one. So 3, 4, 5, 6.
I had Raya as my hipster choice, but
look, all I can say is before we move on to award number 2, I'm really surprised that none of us picked Bukayo Saka. Top scorer with 16 goals and second most assists with 9 this season. Top rated player on FotMob of 7.97 out of the Arsenal squad. The nearest was Declan Rice, 7.66. So it just shows you that, that's just standard Saka for us. You know, he's not. It's not outstanding. It's just normal from him. So that,
and as I said, we wanted to we're looking at our favourite player rather than best player, and so that's more of a You know, not saying we don't like him and stuff. It's just something.
It's got to be an honorable mention though for Benny Blanco.
Oh shit! Yeah.
Honorable mention for Benny Blanco, like the shithousery, him not giving a fuck about the England national team. Oh, I'm going to Dubai. I'm working on my tan. Like
those guys
right there.
Yeah, love him.
Okay, we're picking two players. God, crazy.
Hey, man.
Right.
That's it.
Award number 2 is highlight of the season. So this is not a Grove moment. That is coming. So this is your highlight of the Arsenal season as a whole. So Tabs, I'm going to start with you this time. What was your highlight?
Is it a no-brainer? Look, you know how much I dislike this clown club. Well, I can't even say it. This clown car club. Oh, for God's sake, Chelsea. I fucking hate Chelsea. And the 5-0 humiliation, the Olays when they had it, the chant, the simple oldie, your fucking shit chant was just simple, perfect. It was just glorious. The most fun I've had with my clothes on in a long time. So it was so good, so good. Loved it.
Brilliant.
Thank you for allowing me to relive the clown car of a club moment.
No worries at all. And that clown car of a club moment could be yours again next year, because obviously they've sacked Poch. They're a club in disarray, so you never know. We could hit them for 10 next season. You just don't know. Whale, your highlight of the season, sorry, I should say.
It's you touched on it earlier, but it was definitely my favorite because it was almost, well, it could have been a metaphor, but it kind of also is. It was when Saliba and Haaland were going for that ball in midfield, and he just fucking shoulder checked Haaland. Haaland goes down, jumps up, waving his arms, and the fucking crowd went crazy because it was like, let's just get physical. Like, this is like little brother, big brother, a little moment there, because everyone talks about the physical prowess of Haaland, yada, 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 yada. Saliba just fucking shoulder checked him, and the ref fucking kept his whistle out of his mouth. Play on. And it was just nice to see it go our way.
Nice. And Kaziva?
Mine was the Man United experience at home. I had a row 1 seat close to the halfway line, and I was calling, or rather shitting on Rashford as much as I could. It was great. And then just the experience of us winning the way we did. Just all in all, great sunny day. If you guys see my picture on my WhatsApp, that is that day at Man United. That was my highlights of the season.
So this is a really awkward moment, guys. Kaziva does not have me saved as a contact, so I cannot see his WhatsApp picture. It's just a big green K. So that's awkward. Anyway, my moment of the highlight of the season is, look at them all checking their phones now. Can you see it, Tabs?
No, I can't.
Yeah, he hasn't got a same. So, Lipsy indeed.
As aim, not same.
Yeah, awkward.
So that's my low light of the season, I guess.
Yeah.
What's your highlight?
So my highlight of the season actually is the same day as Kaziva's. It's the Man U game, but it's actually pre-match. It's when I met the players at the hotel. That was the first time that I'd done that. Andrew and I were very early. We got the flight at like 5 o'clock in the morning, so we ended up in London at 6. We were on line bikes. The weather was scorching, and we decided to go to the hotel where the Arsenal players were staying, just being stalkers, and we seen that they were coming out. So ended up getting pictures with Zinni and Jesus, and it was just nice to say hi to the players and just watch them walk past. It was proper fanboy moment, and got to see my crush in the flesh in Martin Odegaard. What a fine specimen of a man he is. God,
I did he take his shoes and socks off for you?
Didn't see his feet, but I need to move on. I really need to move on now before I get carried away. And that moving on is now the low light of the season. So I'm going to start with you this time, Whale. What was your low light of the season?
Anytime there's a loss, it's a fucking low light for me. But like this one started really early. Didn't know what the impact was going to have, but it was my first time meeting up with the Grove, so that was really great. This is second game of the year for them. Had great seats down in the lower block 4, and then we give it away, man. We go down 1 man, and it ends up being a 2-2 draw, and that was frustrating. And at the time, I was like, "Are you kidding me?" It's furious. Went home. So yeah, that would be if I had to pick a low light, I'll pick that one, because yeah, you shouldn't be giving up a goal and man down. So that there we are.
Okay, interesting. I'll go second if you guys don't mind. My low light of the season was Jurriën Timber's injury.
Oh yeah.
It was gutting, absolutely gutting. I remember being at the Community Shield at Wembley, watching him play and thinking, holy fuck, we have a player on our hands right now. What a signing this has been for Arsenal. And then first home game of the season, Nottingham Forest. I'm struggling to get into the stadium because the turnstiles are all messed up and kickoff's delayed, and there's some sense of anticipation and intrigue, and we're up 2-0 at half time. And just before that, Timber goes down. You're thinking, oh, he's okay, he's back up. The physios are walking off the pitch. He comes back on, comes out for the second half. 5 minutes later, boom, done. ACL. He's out for the full season. He only came back against Everton. And boy, I'm not going to say we missed him, but what an addition that could have been to the squad when the fullbacks needed a rest, or when the squad just needed a little bit of change or whatever through the middle of the season, Christmas time, or even Champions League games. What a player. But in the famous words of Arsene Wenger, he's like a new signing for next year, right? So
he is the most like a new signing we're ever likely to have.
Yeah, exactly. But that's my low light, unfortunately for Jurriën Timber. But even just listening to his post-match interview after Everton, it was just like, look, I've had a season now with the team. I've been around them. I've watched them train. I've watched them play. I've learned how Arsenal play. I know the players. I know them inside and outside of the club. So he's gonna explode, and I think he is one to watch for next season. I think he could be our main man, if you like. So watch this space. No pressure, Jurriën. Tabs, your low light of the season.
Newcastle away, that goal, just such a bullshit decision with the ball potentially going out. Okay, granted, that one, okay, there's no 100%ness there, but how is that not a foul with 2 arms on the back of Big G? That is just ridiculous. And yeah, so that was just nonsense. I'm not saying we would have gone on to win. I don't think we were playing well enough to win, but we definitely weren't. Newcastle weren't playing well enough to beat us either, sort of thing. So that was just such a nonsense of a decision, and that really pissed me off. So yeah, that was my low light.
Okay, and Kaziva, last but not least, your low light of the season.
So I already shared my low lights. Sorry guys, I fixed it. Okay, but my other low light is just Villa doing the double on us. That was unexpected. And there's not much to say about that. Just I hate Emery, I really do. And if I see him, I'll tell him a few things.
Okay, so award number 4 is pretty similar to highlight, but this is the favourite moment of the season. So a little bit different, I guess. Maybe a chance for you guys to do another highlight, a favourite moment of the season. And to make this easier, it can be, I'm going to just add a quick rule in here for you guys. The moment of the season cannot be something to do with the Grove, but it can be something to do with Arsenal, whether you watch the game live in London or you were at home. Well, I say in London, you guys all live in London, but, either watching it from home or in a pub somewhere or at the stadium. So, Tabs, I'll let you go first. What was your favourite moment of the season?
It was the most, I think I celebrated a goal this season, and I can't remember, it was the Rice winner versus Man United. Just the sorry if I pick someone else's. Someone can have the goal afterwards, so it's fine. Just that one. It was just, yeah, the timing of it. Everyone loves a late goal, and then so on. The fact that, according to Eric Ten Hag, we could have gone 2-1 5 minutes beforehand or whatever. But no, just the celebration, that goal. Rice, I think, was that Rice's first goal for the club, so it was great. It was great for him. So that was my number one moment. I was with my son as well, so the two of us were there together. There was a Man United fan in front of us. Funny enough, he was there with his mate, and he had a bald head, and I was slapping him on the head. and he couldn't do anything about it either, because he knew I knew he was a Man United fan. So
That is brilliant.
I did apologise. I said, "Look, sorry, mate, I didn't mean you." That's fine, but so that was definitely my moment of the season.
That reminds me of that game. Jermaine will be listening to this podcast, and I remember I was sat next to him for that game, and there was a Man U fan in front of us who was filming. Every time Man U had a corner or a free kick or anything, he got his phone out to film. So we found out he was a Man U fan, young-ish boy with his girlfriend or a friend or whatever. And when we scored that goal, I remember pulling his top back, and he was right in front of me, pulling his top back and forward, his neck. He must have had whiplash that night. And I remember Jermaine just pulling me back, saying, "No, like, we need to calm down. He might not be a Man U fan." And then as soon as the full-time whistle went, he left. It was hilarious. But so brilliant. Wow, just thinking about that just makes me smile so much, that game and that result. Kaziva, your moment of the season.
It has to be the Champions League night, the first time back, and the lights. Oh, that was just perfect. I was listening or watching the game yesterday, and it was just funny hearing the Europa League theme tune, and I was like, this is actually so shit. I'm glad that we out of this tin pot trophy. Those lights were just the moments of my season.
Yeah, and plenty more of those to come, I'm sure. And we'll hear that at the Allianz Arena next season as well, in the final of the Champions League too, I'm sure. Will, your moment of the season?
Well, mine didn't include any simple assault, so you let me guys down here. Might have to go to probably like third best here. However, I would say even though it was a draw, it was a Tottenham home game. Just like the vibe was great. Like my aunt was mainly for that one over the Horatia. No, it was really good. Took advantage of club level, had lots of beers. Obviously the result wasn't what I wanted, but the weather was nice that day, and just the whole vibe was nice. So I enjoyed that. And a close runner-up, I'm going to go back to Fulham first meetup with the Grove.
Okay.
I know what the rules are, but I'm going to throw that in there anyway.
Well, have
Arch
broken the rules again. That's not allowed, so we have to discredit that. I'll find a way to edit that out of the episode, I'm sure.
Right, I'll put it in the chat.
For me, it's my moment of the season actually is a thing, and it's Nathan Ake's face when we when we beat Man City 1-0 and the ball just twatted him in the face and went in. It was just like Ederson's look to his side, the defenders all looking back, and then you just see Martinelli running, and it was just that kind of celebration where he just salutes the crowd, and that was just the moment. And that's when I fully believed that the big boys are here to play. We can beat Man City. We can do it. The league is going to be ours. So yeah, that's my moment of the season. Award number 5 is, I'm going to change the order of this around a little bit. So this is the favourite Grove moment of the season. So I'll go first if possible, and you're allowed 2 for this, right, guys? You're allowed 2. So number 1 for me is Normie's comment in the WhatsApp group when Tabs. So just to give the listeners some context, Tabs was awake at 4 o'clock in the morning and managed to get a ticket for Mo Salah, who's not the Liverpool player, by the way. There's a guy in our group called Mo Salah. Shout out to Mo. But Tabs got a ticket at 4 in the morning. Mo was awake, and he said his reasoning was because he had needed the bathroom.
Sorry, listeners, just so you know, I'm 51 years old, and I've got the prostate and the bladder of a 51-year-older. Okay, and when you reach this age, there's always that middle of the night that the toilet comes calling. And I think I've even messaged Whale at a certain time in the morning after the Liverpool game.
What are you doing awake right now? Oh, taking the piss.
It's colloquially called the old man piss amongst the group. Unfortunately, I'm the only one at this stage. Anyway, sorry, back to you, Moss.
Yeah, it was just a comment from Normie. So shout out to Normie for a lot of things, especially just the hay fever tablets and whatnot as well on the last game of the season that I needed. But the message from Normie was a quick toggle whilst the wife changes the bed sheets again. It was just the way he wrote that. A quick toggle whilst the wife changes the bed sheets, ... again. And it was just so funny because Tabs it was just so unexpected. I remember waking up reading that message and absolutely pissing myself, no pun intended, in terms of that. My second favourite Grove moment was just the amount of stickers that we put into the group chat. There's just so many different pictures that get turned into stickers, and there's so many funny ones. There's one of Alex and Sasha, looks like in a very compromising position. That's really funny, and yeah, that's just my favourite moment when something funny happens. We've got a sticker for every occasion. Kaziva, what were yours?
Mine, sorry, I'm going to say something that someone else has said. The first meetup, that was really good. I think the first person that I met was Richard. Shout out to you, Rich. And then I think it's just a series of moments with the Grove is when I get to Horatio late and someone is in the queue, or rather I ask if someone is in the queue and they get me a pint. It's always great knowing, I can call on my crew to help me get a drink and not wait in a line. So
that is always very handy.
Yeah.
Tab, you found that out firsthand. You did a me without even being there, which is not allowed, I'm sure. Only a few of us will get that joke. What was your Grove moment of the season?
By the way, but before when he says a quick toggle while my wife changes the sheets, for people that are going the ticket exchange, it's how you have to refresh the screen.
Oh,
that's what he meant.
Why? And actually, I tell you what, I've got 4 tickets this season because of my old man prostate and bladder, so I'm okay with that.
There you go.
You can get, but first meetup for sure. I think honourable mention to the fact that we all were able to, all above board, get everyone who wanted a ticket for the Everton game a ticket, which is amazing. But actually, it was just a recent one. There was a bit of a field trip going to the Arse Vision podcast recording, and it was really, really nice. There's about 8 of us that went. The bike ride was good. We were smashing Moz up them hills from Finsbury Park to Muswell Hill, and got to meet a couple of inspirations. The people that have sort of got me and Moz going and doing this pod, and the likes of Clive and Elliot and Arseblog, Gunnerblog, and the rest of it. So that was a really nice Grove outing. And then there's been multiple Grove outings from people who've been seeing right. With Whale, we went to Forest Away and a few others. So we've become and actually, I think the Grove community that we've got, both the inside and outside, those people are extended. But it's made this season even better. I don't think I enjoyed this season, but I wouldn't have enjoyed it as much without this group of people, and it's been an amazing year. Considering this time last year, what we've come to become, I think it's really, really helpful. And it's like when everyone's down, everyone lifts you up, and when you're up, everyone lifts you down, pushes you down. But if you know what I mean. But yeah, so yeah, it's that's really the Grove itself has really made a smashing difference this year.
Before I come to you, Whale, we should just give a shout out to the Grove, to every single member of the Grove, because what a season it has been with everyone. And we have this thing where Sasha very brilliantly does like a match day program before every home game, and different Grovers write articles. If you want a copy of a program, I'm sure if you message one of us, we will be able to oblige. But I wrote a piece about the Grove in the most recent program, and it was just like the Grove's not only helped with, anyone got a spare ticket or whatever along those lines, but also just personally as well, so when days have been bad or things haven't gone your way at work, or Tabs has changed, his wife's changing the bed sheets again, at least there's someone there to listen to you and help. And I was saying this to you guys on Saturday night, just before we were out for dinner, before the live podcast of Arseblog Arsevision, and it's like we know about each other's families. We know about your son's football. We know about Wales' love for Ipswich Town. Because Eva, we know about all your travels. So, we don't just know about how you guys get to the games and support Arsenal. It's just we know about everyone's families, which is great. Which it's just like we've got 60 plus best friends now. It's brilliant. But before, I've got a bit of a tear of my eye just talking about them over there. It's bizarre. Will, what was your favourite Grove moment of the season?
You said we get 2 for this, right?
You get as many as you want, Will.
Yeah, there we go. So after the Fulham game, it was a late night one. So it's if I forget someone, excuse me, but I don't think I will. So it's me, Bristol Matt. Well, they're both Bristol Matt. Bristol Matt, who recently had a haircut. Owen, Dennis, and a guy we haven't seen in a while, Kevin. I don't know if it's Kevin Cheng, perhaps. And we were all in the Coronet. While it was still a Wetherspoons pub, after the Fulham match, just drinking. So that was a really good time because that was our first time meeting each other, essentially. And just getting to know each other with a few beers. So that was great. And then the other one Tabs touched on, it was the Notts Forest road trip. Like, I really enjoyed that one. Like, that was my second, away game, but, second away game, with a group of, youngish people going out having a good time. We got the result. Seats were nice. I sat next to the infamous AFC guy. What's his fucking name? He dresses up in all the kit. I can't remember his name right now.
Ty?
Yeah, I sat right next to fucking Ty. He's a funny guy. And we got the result in that game, so it was that was good.
Moving on, and this has no correlation whatsoever to Ty, but biggest twat of this season. This has no correlation to those guys at all. It's just an extra word. I'll go first if you guys don't mind for this one. The biggest twat of the season was Son for the Spurs player. 1-on-1 against Ortega. Or, yeah, it was Ortega at that time, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And you have a chance to win Arsenal League and you fluff your lines. What are you playing at? And people keep saying to me, oh, he missed it on purpose. No, he didn't miss it on purpose. But in the back of his head, he would have been thinking, oh, what would the reaction be if I scored? How will the fans react? All that.
I really think so in that split second. He was on a bad run of form for the last 6-7 games.
I don't think he had the conviction. There we go. He didn't do it with conviction. The whole right-hand side was available to him. No, you're right. I don't think he deliberately misses, but I don't think he was focused.
Yeah. Because of everything that's happened before, everything the fans were saying and chanting and whatnot. So that's why. If it was a normal game played at the normal day it was meant to be played at, and it wasn't the one to potentially help Arsenal win the league, we don't know what would have happened against Everton if Spurs did draw against City, and we don't know what would have happened for the last 20 minutes of that game either. But yeah, biggest twat of the season for me goes to Son. He's not going to get a sniff of my fantasy Premier League team next season because of that. So yeah, that was mine.
Clip that right there. We'll be checking. In August. I'll be checking your team.
I have a rule: no Tottenham or Chelsea players in my fantasy league team. Full stop. So
Haaland wasn't on my team at all this year.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Interesting. No wonder you guys didn't win that. Kaziva, who was your biggest twat of the season?
My biggest twat is a group of people. They're a body, or essentially they're responsible for refereeing all English football games. They're called the PGMOL. Hate them. The West Ham game where they literally came out and apologized for the VAR mess up. Yeah, honestly, I mean, we should do our best to score and winning games, but it doesn't help when these guys have the technology and just can't use it. It's annoying. So yeah, my biggest twat is a bunch of 50-year-old middle-aged man.
Hey, you comes out of this, man.
It's 41 and 48, okay?
Yeah. Based out of the northwest of England.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Glad we clarified that. Will, who was your twat of the season? And don't say Tabs, whatever you do.
You can say anyone you want, James. Anyone you want.
He does what he does, man. He does what he does. To be fair, for the most part, man, I focus on me. I focus on my team. I don't really look at the outside stuff. But gun to my head, if I had to pick a guy, and it is a guy, it'd be Ten Hag. You're a grown man of arguably like the biggest club in the world, and like you can't keep our name out your mouth, man. Like if you're if you're the leader of that team, what's that showing your team that you just keep harping on that one little point? So yeah, I don't even use the T word. It's a very English word. But yeah, it'd be him.
Moz made me cut and made me tone down the on that one. So I did have a lot stronger word, but we went with twat.
We can't use that word. It's also probably copyrighted by other podcasts, but very rightly so as well, I must add. Tabs, your twat this season.
Well, actually, my number this is the one I had the most responses for.
Don't say whale. Don't say whale either.
No, it's a whale took my first response. You know, he's delusional. He's an idiot or whatever. So on
whale.
Yeah, Eric Ten Hag. Right, I had the I'll give honourable mentions to the journos going on about Ben White touching a glove while not mentioning everyone trying to break the legs of Saka or Havertz or Tomiyasu. The Weird Al Yankovic guy who was abusing Rice before we scored the goal at Tottenham. VAR and PGMOL. The Spuds fans doing the Poznan when they were losing. Idiots. It's like, yeah, but my number one is now the celebration police. So Carragher, Sutton, Richard Keys want to suck the joy out of football. You've won a game. You
suck. He spits. Remember?
They want to take the joy out of the game. You know, they spend all their life preparing to win a match. Let them be happy. So what? So bloody what? No one's saying, oh, we're celebrating like we've won a trophy. No, it's just an expression of emotion, expression of joy. Fuck's sake, you know. So yeah, those guys just you know, yeah, get a lot, you know, please, you know, yeah.
Big twats.
They're twats. You know, just yeah. Is it
okay? Now, this is kind of the penultimate award, and this is everyone's overall grade. I just need one answer, and it's letters. So we'll say A minus, A plus is like your 7, your 8, 9, 10, essentially. So if you wanted to rate it out of 10, you can. But what was your rating or overall grade? For me, I would say it was an 8 out of 10. So I'd go for calling that an A minus. And I know I said only one word, but I'll just give a quick reasoning behind it. We got knocked out of the cups very early on, and we lost the tie against Bayern Munich by giving away 2 very silly goals. And if we had done a little bit better in the FA Cup, League Cup, and in the Champions League, I would have maybe given it a 9 out of 10. And obviously, we never won any trophies. So for me, it is an 8 out of 10. I think I would probably call that like an A minus, if you like. Kaziva, what was your grade of the season?
I mean, it's hard not to have the same one, yeah, just because we did really well, but just not good enough. So I'll also say A minus. Yeah, and I expect an A plus next season.
Yeah. Okay. And Tabs?
I'm going to go just one up. I'm going for an A. As Arteta said, we've made history, not progress, in what we're doing. And if it wasn't for, you know, Lance Armstrong of football, we would be champions. So that's it. And I'm not so worried about the domestics. That's fine. And the Champions League, we got where I expected to be. So in terms of my expectations and where I'd put it, I would say an A for me.
And finally, with Wale, who is on mute.
He's on mute.
Oh, so Wale has no rating for this season.
I got a feeling like
Wale was trying to be respectful and he was doing other things.
He's having a big F. Here we go.
Well, yeah, I don't know if the grading scale is the same here as it is in the land of freedom and democracy, but An A is excellent. A B is good. A C is satisfactory. Obviously, a D is less than satisfactory, and an F is sort of failing. So there's no way in the world I could ever see this season being an A, because that's excellent. If you don't win anything, it can't be excellent. So that's off the board. Try not to be too critical, but I'll be a little bit critical. I'll give it a B.
Okay.
Give it a B.
Okay.
So I think we had a good season, and a B is good.
Okay. Next question. This isn't really an award, but it's more of a question for you guys. And it just needs one answer or one name, if you like. You can do position or name for this. What one player or position should be prioritized in the summer transfer market? I'm going to go first, and I'm going to say striker. And if you want me to give you a name, Alexander Isak. We should go all in for that man. That's my answer. Tabs?
For me, it would be a wide forward with pace. We need some backup for Saka. He just plays all the time. But also, remember when Bayern played us, how we were suddenly like, oh my God, the players just like, was it? I've forgotten the names, whatever. But they're the two wide men just running at us so fast, and defenders hate that, and we just don't have that really. The best thing we have is Martinelli to do that. So I think we need another wide person with pace to scare the life out of our defenders. Yeah, just to give us something a little bit different.
Okay. Will?
Yeah, it's tough. At the beginning of the year, we probably would have said that the wide players are one of our best positions. Maybe not the deepest, but the best. But I'll have to agree with that. I mean, if I could have my choice of anything and you get what you want, I would want a wide player that could play both the left and the right. Just an excellent guy, left or right, just to offer cover on the right hand side the most, but someone that could play both sides, because it seems to be lacking. Like we were lucky enough to have Trossard to fill in when Martinelli wasn't playing right, and we didn't have that same thing on the right hand side. We're paying a guy a decent amount of money, but Arteta obviously has no faith in him whatsoever because he doesn't play the guy. So yeah, I would say a wide player that can play either left or right.
Okay, that's interesting, because I think even if we do sign a Saka, not replacement, but Saka backup, I think he'll still play 90 minutes in every game unless really, really, really...
What if he's better than Saka? I mean, I know it's sacrilege to say, but like, what if you bring in someone who's better? What if you bring in Rodrigo?
Yeah.
I like that. I like that thinking. We need people to fight for spots.
Yeah, exactly. I just can't imagine an Arsenal team without Saka in it, but you never know. You never know indeed. Mbappe's on the market as well. He's leaving PSG, and he was wearing red the other day, so you never know.
You never know.
Football's a funny sport. Kaziva, what one position or player?
Position number 6. I'd really like to see Rice at 8 with Odegaard winning position in the final third, and then just someone who can support us as a linchpin at the back. Jorginho's really good, but when Jorginho plays, then he's playing a double pivot. So yeah, we need a 6. We can't trust Partey to finish the season, and we need someone to compete with the Rodri, man. I'm tired of that guy. I'm tired of Rodri.
Who would you pick as a 6 if you really had to?
It's tough, honestly, because there aren't many elite 6s. But off the top of my head, Kimmich is someone who can look into. Palhinha has also had a really, really good season for Fulham, if you look at his stats. But there isn't anyone who currently is just world-class, below world-class, going to elite. But yeah, let's see what the recruitment team does in the summer. I trust them. How you do?
Yeah.
You trust the process then?
Trust the process. No, I do. I do. Ozil.
And just to wrap off this part of the pod, the end of season awards and question, just need one answer from you all. I'm going to start with you, Wale, then Tabs, then Kaziva. Just one answer each. What do you think of Tottenham? Wale?
Shit.
Tabs?
Shit.
Kaziva?
Shit.
Yeah. Thank you.
That's all right.
That kind of wraps up this episode. However, just before we go, I just want to talk over quick plans for pods over the summer. Don't worry, we are not going anywhere. We are here to stay. We're back stronger as well, the start of the season, with bigger and better podcasts, more social media presence and whatnot. So very soon, to your ears, we will be hearing from Senzi, one of the Grovers. She did a dissertation on racism in football that we'll be hearing all about, and we'll have some very special guests on for that. We're also having...
It's bad.
Say that again?
Spoiler alert, racism is bad.
Racism is bad, exactly. We're also going to have a special guest that's not in the Grove, and a guy called Arse Cannon Picks. He is on X or Twitter. He will be on talking about his social media account, his journey, his travel to and from Ireland to London for the football. That'll be really, really interesting to hear. Every single week he does it. We'll have some Euro 2024 action focusing on Arsenal players. We'll talk about how Scotland are winning the Euros and beating Germany in the first game of the season. So stay tuned for that, and how England will get knocked out after the group stages. We'll have a squad review and transfer discussions and reactions as and when they happen. So if we're linked with anyone or we sign someone, we'll do pods on that. We're going to meet the Grove, so special guests from the Grove will come on and tell us their stories about how they started supporting Arsenal and what they think of the Grove and Tottenham. We'll have like pre-season chat to when the fixtures are released. We will maybe do like a little unofficial spreadsheet to see where and when and how we'll win the league, or we'll do something along those lines. And the season will begin before you know it, and we go again. We'll do some pods on the friendlies that we play as well and whatnot. So dates and times and things are unconfirmed. So all you have to do is press that follow button or follow us on the Grove AFC on all social media platforms, especially on TikTok, where we will become really active with short form content of these pods. And all that's left for me to say is what a season it has been, ladies and gentlemen. It has been one of promise, one of excitement, one of hope, but ultimately we came short. And this time next year, let's just hope I'm saying the first three words and not the final. That's all from me. Whale, Tabs, Kaziva, thank you so much for joining us. We will see you guys on the next one. Be sure to follow us on social media, guys. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, and I'll be keeping a close eye on those skills tests. I'm going to be doing some critical analysis of those.
You're just going to pick it positive, so it doesn't really matter, does it?
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for listening.
Cheers, guys.
Bye, guys.